Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a first look at the game Trench Raid, Solitaire Patrol Command on the World War I Western Front. This is from Compass Games and is designed by Lisa Smedman. And like I said, it's a solitaire game. And a lot of you are probably likely familiar with it already. So real quick, we'll take a quick look at the back. It's a low complexity game. Each game is one raid. The map scale is one hex being several yards. Okay, so very tight scale. The units are individuals, so it's single man counters basically. Suitability for solitaire, not surprisingly, is rated as very high. And average time to play is about an hour per raid, and it is per raid. Recommended age 14 and up. Quick look at the map here. You see some of the counters and some of the cards. Inside, we're going to have a mounted map, a rule book, 10 soldier cards on 5 sheets, 3 reference player aids, 1 dry erase marker, 2 6-sided dice, 1 10-sided die, a 20-sided die, 3 counter sheets, and then you have your credits here. And so let's take a look inside the box. I had already removed the shrink wrap, so I don't have to worry about that. I haven't looked at this yet, but like I said, I did remove the shrink wrap. Here are our dice. You can see the 6 6-siders and seven 6-siders and the other dice, the D10 and the D20. Baggies, the aforementioned dry erase marker, and then in our bag here we'll have our printed materials, and there's a quick look at the mounted map. We'll save that for last. We'll start, as we usually do, with a quick peel through the rule book. We do have some rule clarifications here on a single sheet. We'll address that probably when we do gameplay. Okay, so here is our book. Tighten up the shot a bit and get into it. All right, so our table of contents, this runs 20-some pages. Counting everything at the back, it runs about 31 pages, I guess. All right, so you get your introduction, you get your component list that we kind of mostly went through, although these are a little bit more specific. It tells you how many of each kind of counter you get. So here's our table of contents as mentioned, right? We'll start off with setup. So you're going to lay out your map and the quick reference sheets, right? We'll kind of skip over this and deal with that when we do gameplay. Then here's our gameplay kind of summary, or sequence of play summary, perhaps. So you're going to advance your raiding party counter 1 hex in any direction. If the raiders are in no man's land, which are regular hexes, roll to see if an event occurs. And then you will be going, if raiders are within enemy trenches with which are white bordered hexes, map the trench hex. The event is determined by the type of hex they are in. And we have a note to go to 15, events and trenches. Resolve the event. If the raiders are on a barbed wire hex, determine whether the wire has a hole. Make any rolls to cut the wire. Determine whether any soldier with a serious wound is incapacitated. Redistribute equipment between soldiers as desired. Decide which soldiers, if any, will be dispatched to carry incapacitated men back to the trench line and detach them from the raiding party. Reorganize the marching order of soldiers in whatever order is desired. If the raiders are in no man's land, map any blank hexes adjacent to the raiders' current position. Or if the raiders are in the enemy trenches and have a trench periscope, map adjacent trench hexes. If the raiders have returned to their own trenches with or without completing the objective, the game ends. Resolve any remaining details. Okay. If you want a shorter but less realistic game, the game can end as soon as the raiders complete their objective without having to play through the return to their own trench lines. Okay, good to know. Our soldiers' stats, they are rated for speed, strength, courage, command, shoot, fight, throw, and luck. And then each soldier starts with 3 dice in each stat, plus an additional die in the stat that is their specialty. This bonus die is included in the stats below, which should be recorded on their soldier card. Trench raiding party consists of officers, or an officer, 1 NCO, 2 bombers who throw grenades, 2 carriers who carry extra grenades, and 4 riflemen who provide cover fire. We'll get into all of you can see their stats, right, that we just kind of listed, and then you can see here what they assign to them based on their role within the group. Performing actions. So you're going to have to attempt actions such as diving for cover, carrying a wounded comrade, not panicking in a tense situation, intimidate enemy soldiers into surrendering, shooting a rifle, fighting with a club or bayonet, throwing a grenade. When this is required, each soldier attempting action rolls a number of d6 equal to the stat appropriate for that action. Each die is counted separately, and then a 5 or a 6 is a success. Actions have a difficulty that represents how hard the action is to perform. In order to be successful at an action, a minimum number of successes must be rolled. Right, so you can see average. You need 1 success for an average difficulty. You'll need 2 successes for difficult and 3 for very difficult. There's an example. If the soldier must dive for cover, a difficult speed action. So that's what they're trying to do. Soldier has speed 3 and rolls 3 d6 dice, the results being 2, 5, and 6. Since 2 of the dice have rolled either a 5 or a 6, the action is successful. This is a very role-playing game type mechanic. So easily followed, right? It's very, very straightforward. When a soldier is wounded, he becomes less effective. The loss of effectiveness depends upon the wound location, severity, and the action being attempted. Due to wounds and or being unarmed, the soldier may have 0 dice in a stat. If forced to attempt an action using that stat, the action automatically fails. Botches, if none of the regular dice produce a success, roll the botch die. If the botch die rolls a 1, result is a botch instead of just a failure, and the worst possible result will occur. The event will give details of what happens next. Luck rolls may not be used to re-roll the botch die. Penalty for being unarmed. There's a luck rule. I probably will not go into more detail now. We'll talk about most of this when we play as things come up. The equipment that you have, you can carry up to 5 pieces of equipment. At the start of the game, the player chooses what equipment will be taken along on the raid and records it on the soldier cards. Again, this is very RPG-like, which is cool. As you know, I've started to do some RPG games, and this is looking pretty interesting to me here. Then you have special skills. Each soldier may have 1 special skill. It's recorded on the soldier card and takes up 1 equipment slot. Okay, objectives. You've got objectives in no man's land. You've got objectives in enemy trenches. Again, we'll go through that when we play. Here's your wounds. You roll your 2d6 and you'll get a location. If you know how the probabilities of 2d6s, which I'm guessing most of you probably do, you know a 7 is your most common result. So 6 through 9 is a chest wound, and that's obviously pretty serious. So you probably don't want to get wounded. Okay, and then you've got a severity roll. That's just a single d6, it looks like. And then wounds and actions. You've got gas. What would World War I be without gas, right? Incapacitation, carrying your wounded, being blinded, dying, prisoners, capturing prisoners, I guess, escorting prisoners in enemy trenches and in no man's land, mapping no man's land, terrain properties. You got barbed wire, open ground, ruined buildings, small craters, large craters, and shattered forests. Events that take place in no man's land. Based on the terrain type, the event numbers, and then here's the list of events, which is what you use your D20 for. Accidental shot, artillery barrages, discarded equipment, enemy dogs, enemy stretcher bearers, enemy trench raiders, enemy wiring parties, lingering gas, listening post, lost in the dark, machine guns, open up, missing man, mutilated corpses, snipers, star shells, all kinds of stuff here. Swarm of rats, that's pleasant. Tempting souvenirs, unexploded shells, waterlogged ground, wounded men. Mapping enemy trenches. The events in trenches, you got a communications trench, dugout, field dressing station, HQ, machine gun nest, mortar emplacement, a pillbox, and a trench section, returning to your lines and ending the game. You'll have some rules for that, for medical aid, blinded men, men left behind, and then you have the rules on campaign play. Soldiers who survive a raid may be sent out again on subsequent raids. Between raids, they can be re-equipped as the player sees fit, but they must start the next raid with the equipment that is mandatory for soldiers of their type. Soldiers who collected souvenirs may set them aside. Any soldiers who were lost are replaced with fresh men. Luck increases. Soldiers who survive a raid are a bit more experienced than they were before. This is represented by increasing the soldier's luck by 1. This is done each time the soldier survives a trench raid, and it cannot increase beyond 10. Mentioned in dispatches, right? That's typically, you did a really good job, son. New soldiers, the 5-game campaign. Then you got sample trench raid here. That kind of talks you through it with a nice map as well. Then we get our counter manifests and looks at the various items here. Cards for the soldiers that you will be, I think, writing on with your trusty marker. And then our map. Look at the map. So that's the rules kind of overview. I don't want to take a ton of time on that. We have our clarifications. Again, we'll get into this when we do gameplay. Let's take a quick look at our player aid cards here. We have things about events in Trent. This is your events in No Man's Land. So it details all of those. And then you have your events in trenches on this one, which is slightly shorter. And on the back, you have your mapping and your No Man's Land event die rolls. Then you have this card for events in No Man's Land on one side, the other side's blank. You have wound location, wound severity, incapacitation, wounds in action. So you don't have to look these up in the rule book, even though they are located there. You get them here where you can spread them out and have easy access to them. There are a lot of these. You're carrying your wounded back table. Men left behind, medical aid, blinded men. Again, all of these seem to be single-sided. And then our cards. So we have our cards here for the individual soldiers. I'm assuming you might have to cut these out. Now these are kind of glossy. You can see the light reflecting. Very nice. And you do write on them with your marker here and then erase. So I mean, there's a line here. I guess maybe you cut them out. I hate to take scissors to these. These are nice. So you got Bomber 1, Bomber 2, Carrier 1, Carrier 2, your officer and your NCO. Maybe you don't have to cut them out. Rifleman 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think you may be able to not cut these out and just kind of lay them out. But you can see the footprint for this is probably going to be somewhat large. But those are very nice. Let's take a closer look at these while it's in my hand here. You can see all the boxes that you can check for when things happen, mentioned in dispatches. Wounds to various areas: head, arm, chest, hand, leg, foot, unarmed situation here. Their stat dice and their modifiers for being wounded. You got serious wounds and light wounds, and then your equipment checklist here. You can check off what he's got, right? And then your carrier has the same kind of thing. You can see they're loaded up here with little pouches in which they can carry their grenades, I guess. And then for the officer and the NCO, just to kind of look at these. I mean, they're all pretty similar. They're all very much the same, except that you have on here you have your raid objectives on the officer. NCO looks fairly similar. The artwork's really cool. I like the artwork. And then we also, of course, have riflemen. Standard issue British riflemen here. All right, so that is the look at the components. Now let's take a look here Well, we'll do the map first since it's on top of the counter. Usually I save the map for last. We'll do the map first. Let me reframe so you can see this better. All right, so this is the entirety of the board. You can see the box over here and the other stuff over here, but this is your map board. It also has your die rolls here for mapping enemy trenches. You got front, support, and reserve trench lines, right? Trenches were multiple level deep during the war. They had extensive and pretty comprehensive trench systems, both sides. And then you have the mapping blank hexes is over here on the bottom. You have soldier counters here, I guess, and you'll actually move your group counter that we have not seen yet. You can see we got our British flag here, so this would be the British lines. And then you got no man's land, and then you've got your various trench levels for the enemy, for the Germans. So you have the front trench, of course, your support, and then your reserve is in the back. There's a "They Heard Us" box here. You have a terrain key over here that shows everything that you may see and encounter on the trench map. The map, as was mentioned, is mounted. It's very nice. It lays perfectly flat. It may help that it's kind of it's a 4-panel instead of 6 or an 8 that tend to get a little bulgy at times. But anyway, this very nice. Our counters. Okay, we have 3 sheets. They are in shrink wrap. I guess I should take the shrink wrap off so we can take a better look. So let's do that. Oh, that punched out really easily. So you can see some of these, or maybe all of them. Yeah, they're all kind of hex shaped. So you can see, right, you've got barbed wire, obviously, and some cut wire or wires with holes in it. Pillboxes, I guess. Buildings. Various, those look like officers maybe on the German side. Oh, there's the pillboxes. Machine guns, mortars, etc. Single-sided in this case. And here we have open on this side. And on the other side again, blank. But this sheet is literally all open markers. And yeah, they pop out really easily. And here we have some wounded markers, I'm assuming, right along here. Opens. You've got your enemy soldiers here on this side. So you can see you got prisoners, bomber. Well, these would be ours, I guess. These are enemies on this side. Well, they may not. We got enemy officers, I guess. Stretcher bearers. These would be your markers. And then you have various, again, terrain markers for filling out no man's land as you play, and some machine guns and some more open markers. And aside from our men who are marked incapacitated on the reverse side, so you can see this column is your men. This column would be other things, I guess. And there's the "They Heard Us" marker. Made too much noise and they heard us. So that is going to do it for our look at the game Trench Raid. First look. This will be one of the games I will be playing this month. Solitaire game. Looks really interesting. It, like I said, it has a pretty strong RPG type flavor to it, which makes it extra interesting to me. Good solitaire game. It appears to be a good solitaire game, so I am really looking forward to checking this out. Again, this is Trench Raid from Compass Games, designed by Lisa Smedman, and really, really interesting looking game. We'll see how it plays. Look for that in the not too distant future. I need to do a video for my content plan for the month so everybody knows what I think is going to happen here in May, since we're still fairly early in the month. But that is going to do it for this one. Shout out to my channel members. As always, thank you very much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. For everyone else, well, first of all, thank you to my subscribers. I don't want you guys to feel like you get short shrift, but I do appreciate all my subscribers as we close in on 6,000, which is pretty exciting for me. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And speaking of that, to everyone else, while you're here, if you enjoyed this one and have watched other things and maybe thought, hey, this guy's not totally half bad, I'll consider subscribing. But even if you don't do that, while you're here, if you could like, share, hype, etc., that would be great and greatly appreciated. And of course, as always, if you have something to say or a question to ask, please feel free to do so. Put it in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, yeah, that's going to do it. Let's wrap this up. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.